Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, West Coast Weather Watch. It is January 30th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can see that Arctic air encompassing much of the west here. It's moved down across places all the way east of the Rockies towards Texas, set up for a pretty good ice storm out there. You can see that low pressure system continuing some rainfall across Southern California this morning. Here is going to bring some snowfall, as we've been talking about for the last few days, across some of the higher terrain down here, including portions of northern Arizona here, and there's snow continuing on through Utah and Colorado as we speak. Here, getting a bit of a break here across Pacific Northwest. Nice sunny day yesterday, another one for the most part today. Then a weak system's going to move in through BC coming up here. Take a look at that. Then we're going to bring some frontal systems across the area here. They're going to include a lot of the Pacific Northwest and some of California as well as one later on in through the period here that may move down all the way through Southern California, bringing some good snowfall to the Sierra Nevada. We'll watch that system as we go. So it looks like the Gulf of Alaska is going to return to an active state here and continue to bring systems through the extended forecast. We'll take a look at that together here in a moment as well. Looking at current hazards right now, let me just update this also. So you can see the wind advisories across portions of Northern California. Those offshore northerly winds come moving down the area behind that low pressure system, the Arctic air mass across the west here. Pretty chilly here across the area. You can see some winter weather advisories and still some winter storm warnings there in effect for Southern California, some freeze warnings also. And you can see the winter weather advisories and winter storm watches there across portions like Colorado here too. And check out Texas down there. They are gearing up for that huge ice storm out there. Now taking a look here, current temperatures, western Washington shown here. Look at even SeaTac down to 27. Look at Stampede Pass up in the mountains, 7 degrees. Very chilly. Be prepared for that if you're traveling around Highway 2 or I-90 out there. Pretty much anywhere Cascades East here in the Pacific Northwest is pretty chilly this morning. Some teens even across the region. Look at Bremerton, 18 right there. So good graphic there from the National Weather Service Seattle. Here's Oregon here. You can see Salem up here. Look at all these 20s out there. There's some teens mixed in all the way up to the coastline here. Pretty darn chilly. And you go east of the mountains there, you got single digits down to around 0 there. So cold air is in place across the area. Heads up for that if you were traveling around again. This is Montana. Look at some of these wind chills down towards Wyoming here into the negative 41 range here. Billings, negative 28, Livingston, negative 33. Very cold temperatures out there. So heads up if you're traveling eastbound on I-90 or if you're out there across Montana, Wyoming. You guys know the drill out there. This is winter storm continues. Grand Junction, Colorado out there. Cold temperatures overnight. Look at this, 15 to 20 below 0 from the National Weather Service Grand Junction out there. Near zero visibility, blowing snow, snow-packed roads, some pretty good amounts coming across the area there. 1 to 2 for Grand Junction itself, but a lot of the higher terrain getting much more, as you can see there on the map there. Good graphic there. This is for Phoenix, Arizona, talking about that snow chance today for Joshua Tree National Park here. Maybe some blowing dust as you go on in through tomorrow for western portions here. Now taking a look at Utah, look at some of these temperatures as well up towards Wyoming here, northern Utah. Very cold here. I think Logan was negative 29 this morning here. Might be getting close to a record out there, but you can see a lot of single digits and teens across the state of Utah here as well. Salt Lake City, 9 degrees there, for example. Very chilly. Like I said, that cold air is locked in across the west coast here. Colorado River Valley here, strong winds Tuesday. You can see Las Vegas here, and you can see some of these gusty winds down towards Laughlin, Needles, Lake Havasu. So be prepared for that. Significant waves out there on Lake Mojave. So secure loose objects, etc. Nice graphic here from the National Weather Service Las Vegas. This is looking at a cross section here. You can see Flagstaff and why it gets so much snowfall here. The higher terrain, look at that, 3 to 4 inches. And of course, the lower you go here in elevation, the lower snowfall amounts you generally get there. So you can kind of see a good cross section of Williams and Flagstaff there. Flagstaff, Arizona, National Weather Service shown here. This is for California. Check this out. Frost advisory all the way down, not including San Fran there, but it does include San Francisco. I got disciplined there about calling it San Fran the other day. So San Francisco, or the city out there. So heads up anyway for that frost advisory out there. Very chilly temperatures settling down across California. As you can see, lows in the upper 20s and 30s for most inland areas out there. So watch out for that. Heads up. And this I found on Twitter as well. I-5 snow over Grapevine. That probably should be wrapping up as we go through the day today. But just a heads up that you could still be dealing with some results of this snowfall across the Grapevine I-5 there coming out of the Los Angeles metro area. area. So let's take a look at the weather map here. You can see you've got that storm system still moving through Southern California here. Should be exiting as we go through this afternoon and evening today. There we go on into tonight. Some snow still continuing down here through Southern California, the higher terrain here, before this finally starts to move out. You can see the big snows falling across some of the higher terrain of Arizona as we go. Setting the stage for this ice storm here as this low ejects out over Texas here. And you can see a couple rounds of some pretty severe icing look likely across portions of Texas there. But back up here across the west, let's concentrate on that. You can see we've got some light precipitation amounts moving in Tuesday, Wednesday across some of the Pacific Northwest, especially British Columbia here. Some good amounts for the higher terrain, including Vancouver Island. It's going to clip Washington. You might see a few flakes into the lowlands here with this, but precipitation should be light. And then we have another frontal system here. Again, good snowfall amounts with this one for British Columbia as well. This is going to include the Washington, Oregon, Cascades, Northeast Washington, BC, bring some more snow across the Rockies, a little bit at least, and could bring some Sierra Nevada snowfall and some rainfall down towards central California here, maybe even a little bit down towards southern California shown there. And then another system, a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more southerly here. This could bring another good round of snowfall down through the Sierra Nevada. Much of the Intermountain West would get snow out of this scenario here as that low pressure kind of moves right into the Washington, Oregon coastline there. And we'll be watching this track too. You can see there's some strong gradients here on the south side of this. If this low comes in stronger and moves further north, it could bring some windy conditions here across Seattle, Portland as well. So we'll watch that as we go here. But this looks like a good weather maker as things generally stay active here on the west coast for the most part. And then you'll see additional systems on in through the extended forecast here as well. We'll look at another extended outlook here in a moment. Now, this is looking at the NAM3 cam. This is the apparent temperature in Celsius. So anywhere you see the white here, that's below freezing wind chill factor there. So you can see it extends all the way off to Oregon coast, much of California, much of Nevada. You can see the Intermountain West, very cold. Look at some of these wind chills, just very intensely cold wind there. And you can see this has moved all the way down through Texas. So heads up out there also. So put this into motion and you can see we kind of gradually start to warm up a bit here. Tuesday morning still pretty cold, but a lot of the west coast starts to warm up a bit. We modify that cold air as we go on in through Tuesday afternoon. And by the time we go on to Wednesday morning, still pretty chilly, but not near as cold as what we're dealing with right now. By the time we go into Wednesday afternoon, you can see we relax those wind chills somewhat across the Intermountain West here, and much of the west coast is moderated quite nicely. Now, this is 24-hour snowfall. You can see what we're dealing with now. This is going to be wrapping up tonight. Arizona, you're just now getting your snowfall going on, and Colorado continuing, and then you can kind of see a little bit of snowfall maybe for New Mexico there. Some of the higher terrain through Mexico even getting some snowfall also. But we get a bit of a break here before this next round of systems starts moving in off the west coast. Now taking a look here, you can see this is the snow depth. I just like to run this map daily. You can kind of see a little bit of that snow pile up as we go. We're going to get a break, then we're going to start to really build this up again here across some of the west here, especially the Pacific Northwest and BC. We're going to add on to that with those systems. And potentially, as we talked about, maybe some more very much needed snowfall here across the Sierra Nevada, Colorado, Utah. I mean, you take what we can get this time of year, it's all beneficial at this point. This is Vancouver, that weak system that does move in here as we go on in through late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. You could drop a little bit of snowfall around the area there, but it should be fairly light and short-lived. This is Bellingham, just kind of showing maybe a few flakes coming for the northwest interior of Washington as well. This is San Francisco, the next round of storms coming on through here. You can kind of see this highlighted in some of the ensemble runs here as we go through later next week, Friday morning, and then maybe another round as we go on in through Sunday night there, and potential further systems out here in through the extended forecast. This is Los Angeles. This is what's going on today here, and then you can see the potential for some rainfall here as we go on in through the extended, but nothing coming in too strong just yet. We'll continue to watch that as we go. Look at Quileute on the Washington coast. The only rainforest in the lower 48 states is right up there on the Olympic Peninsula of Washington. And you can see why it's a rainforest here. It's going to get clipped pretty well here by some systems moving in here through the extended forecast. As you can see, some nice values showing up there. Multiple rounds of preset moving in with those systems. Seattle, Tacoma, of course, gets much less rainfall here, but you can see it. And we are pretty rainy here up here in Seattle as well. But you can see the precipitation as it starts up again here as we go on in through this later this week coming up. This is Seattle, Tacoma coming up here with that system later this week too. There's some bigger wind gusts kind of showing up in there. So watching for some potential blustery conditions with that frontal system that moves through, but nothing too extreme showing up right now. Probably just a blustery day with a typical front as of right now, but that can change. We'll watch it. This is the European looking at yesterday afternoon's run versus the GFS afternoon's run. 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet. We're looking at the upper air pattern here, and you can see that system moving down across the southwest, emerging over Texas, bringing them their ice storm that's coming up here. Ridge develops here. We get a bit of a break here, but then that system arrives as we go on in through Thursday night, Friday there, and then a potentially stronger system towards the west coast as we go on in through this weekend upcoming here, and then a northwest flow kind of setting up here with the Gulf of Alaska troughing continuing to be active here as we go on into the extended. And you can see there's some pretty good agreement there with the Gulf of Alaska energy around here as we go on 200 hours plus, but you can see the general northwest flow, decent model agreement, not bad. I mean, the GFS and the European both show a fairly strong storm moving into the west coast here as we go on towards next weekend. So we'll start to work out the details on that over the next couple of days. We'll all watch that together and see who's going to get the biggest impacts from that storm. This is total precipitation in inches. This is last night's GFS run. I'll put this into motion. You can see what's going on across the area today. That precipitation across Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and then that ice storm starts setting up shop there across Texas. And then you can see these systems start to skirt the Pacific Northwest with the stronger one coming towards the end of this week shown here. Might bring some precipitation all the way down towards the Bay Area, some snowfall for the Sierra. Look at the snowfall across the Cascades. This would be very nice as we go through this weekend here. Then that next storm system potentially moving in Saturday night, Sunday across the west coast here, bringing some additional snowfall across the Intermountain West. But look at BC out there, Vancouver Island. Some pretty good precipitation amounts showing up here through hour 200 on the GFS shown there with multiple rounds moving through. Nice rainfall amounts for the Pacific Northwest. More of a typical pattern here, but with that you can get things like windstorms and big mountain snows and whatnot. So we'll continue to watch that as we go day by day. Still a little ways out there. This is looking at the avalanche coverage. You can see there is some high across Colorado. So heads up if you're going out there. There's still some moderate avalanche danger across California, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, actually downgraded to low for some of the North Cascades, west slopes there, but always have your heads up out there. This is looking, we got one more day here in the La Nina phase here going away. Look, as we get towards the end, January 26, 27, 28, 29, that warm water is coming. La Nina is being shown the door by the Pacific Ocean here. We're definitely warming up here across this central Pacific. Even though La Nina still can have its effects felt after we go out of La Nina conditions. Just kind of cautioning that. Don't just expect a rapid shift to neutral or El Nino conditions. Sometimes the atmosphere lags behind these actual conditions. So we'll just watch that as we go. Kind of fun to watch this day by day and to watch to see the pattern actually change by itself. So anyway, yeah, you can see the models did pretty good. You know, we were watching this several days out. We saw the low pressure system well in advance here, moving down the west coast there with the Arctic air moving across the western portions of the USA. So the models are a very useful tool here. I know sometimes weathermen get a bad rap here with, you know, inaccurate forecasts and whatnot, but as you can see, if you pay attention and you watch and you update yourself daily, you can really paint an accurate picture of what is coming no matter where you live. You can kind of get a general picture. Sometimes there's always going to be surprises, and sometimes things just don't happen the way you want them to depending on your individual locations. But as you can see, for the most part, we picked this up well in advance here, very well on this low pressure system moving down. We've been spotting this ice storm that looks like it's very likely here across Texas here for several days now. So yeah, I mean, you can see the power of the weather models in developing a good forecast. But anyway, yeah, so that's what's going on here, folks. We're going to watch these systems here. We'll start to try to break down some of the details here on this next week, later this week, actually, coming up with the first system, then the stronger one that weekend. We'll watch for those details here as well. And we'll start to paint a picture as to what we can expect here across Pacific Northwest, California, Mountain West as well. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.